Good morning, viewers, and Matthew. Matthew is a rider, a passenger on the Uber platform and Lyft platform. I don't get to interview too many passengers, but I think it's a really, really important issue. And he contacted us with a heartfelt email, and I felt compelled really to talk to Matthew just to get the point of view of the passengers. And Matthew is someone that depends on these services, on the rideshare services. But I'm going to just stay quiet and have Matthew introduce himself and give a little background. So, floor is yours.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me, Sergio, and the team at the Rideshare Guy. My name is Matthew Alexander. I am a customer service representative for Ally Bank, and I rely on Uber and Lyft because I have a disorder called autism spectrum disorder. And you might be asking yourself, what is autism? And I'm going to tell you that now. Autism is a disorder that is a spectrum, so it can come up in many forms. And for me, what I struggle with is being able to drive long distances, for as one example. Another is like learning material. But in terms of driving, I don't have my own car. Like, can I drive? Yes, but I don't have my own car. So it's really hard for me to be able to get around when the Uber fares are incredibly high for passengers, and then the drivers are barely getting anything of it. Like, for example, a guy I know that does Uber, he got a trip offer once to go from Hempstead, New York to the airport. And that's like about 20 to 30 miles, I think, off the top of my head. And he got $8 for it. And honestly, that is not right, honestly, in my opinion.
Right. So,
And
but before we get into that, tell us what kind of proactive measures you took on your own after discovering that injustice, let's say, right?
yeah,
Um,
no, yeah.
so
Like,
you're someone that does. I mean, do you use Uber and Lyft or
yes, I do. And I
every day?
also to offset the costs, I probably shouldn't say this, but I get in contact with the drivers directly because Uber fares have gotten so high that I just pay the drivers. I would rather pay the drivers directly than to pay for Uber and Lyft.
Okay, so how long have you been on the platforms as a passenger?
I've been on them for about 5 years,
5 years. So
honestly.
in these 5 years, what do you think the percentage increase is on your end, on the passenger end?
I think it's increased at least by 70 to 80%, honestly.
Wow. So is the trip that you take or the ride you take, is it on a daily basis, weekly basis,
It's a daily basis, twice a day.
twice a day? So back and
Yeah,
forth from
twice
work.
a day. Well, five weekly. It's a 5 days a week, twice a day.
Right. So obviously if something that cost you $10 5 years ago, now it's $20 or $17,
Yeah, no,
obviously
yeah.
it cuts into your own earnings because I'm sure your paycheck did not go up by 70% over the last five
No,
years.
it didn't. No, it really did not. Like, for example, I pay for, like, when I use Uber to get to my job, I'm paying like $50 for an Uber X sometimes, or even $60.
Wow.
And that's like it's about 15 to 20 minutes for me when it used to be like 20 to $30 for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm infuriated by that because my biggest stress is Uber. My biggest cost stress is Uber because the fares have gone so high. It eats up in my paycheck to the point where it's hard for me to pay my bills,
Yeah, Uber used
and
to
I'm
be
constantly in debt.
Yeah, Uber used to be a platform that everybody depended on for a reasonably cost, ride, and now it's become a luxury almost, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And there's no really other way for me to get around in my community. Like,
Yeah,
I don't live near a train station, and the train station, in fact, where I live doesn't go to where I work. Doesn't go. We don't have a thing because I live on an island, so it's like there's no train that goes from the South Shore to North Shore. It would take about 3 hours for me to go by train when it takes me 20 to 30 minutes by Uber or Lyft.
Yeah, so you said you're on an island. What city are you in? Give us a little background.
I'm in Long Island, New York.
Okay,
I live in Nassau County, which is like an hour and a half outside of New York City
great.
by train.
So you're one of the other thing that you probably don't know is that New York City, within New York City, the five boroughs, Uber and Lyft have different rules for drivers,
Oh
as
yeah, they
opposed
do.
to for a driver that picks you up from where you are, Long Island, let's say, and drives you into
Yeah,
the city. Believe it or not, once that driver accepts your trip and picks you up, and they'll go into the city, right? They
yeah,
are
and they
not
come back empty.
they are not allowed to pick anybody up to go back out. So it's basically dead miling, going back to where they started from, which doubles their cost, right?
Yeah,
So
no, 100%.
yeah. So what did you do? I mean, not once you discovered that the injustice or the pay discrepancy between what you're paying and what a driver is receiving, you took some action. What have you been doing?
Yes, I did. So I have went to Facebook groups for families with special needs saying, do not use Uber and Lyft because they're eating up at earnings. Instead, I recommended to them that they download this app called Empower. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's
We
similar
are,
to,
yeah. We are.
oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like Empower is amazing and they respond so quick to support. And then like also I pay drivers directly, like through Cash App or Venmo or Zelle, because it's like half the price for me to be able to use a private driver.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the only thing that you need to be careful when you do that, is that you have to make sure that the driver that's doing the cash trips for
Yeah.
you is properly insured, right?
Yeah, no, of
Okay.
course. And I only go with ones that have an LLC.
Great. Yeah. So you stopped using Uber and Lyft, you're using Empower or other services or paying the
Yeah.
drivers for cash. What would your suggestion be for people with special needs who depend on Uber and Lyft, but it's become a luxury now for them as opposed to be just regular transportation?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, what I would do is that if you're taking a consistent ride to from point A to point B, I would suggest that you get a driver that you like, being like, hey, do you do rides outside of Uber or Lyft? And if they say yes, get their information and then talk it out from there. See how much they will charge you. And if it's affordable, I would say go for it.
Yeah. Well, do you also think Uber and Lyft are doing enough to provide services or rides for special needs passengers?
No, honestly, I really do not. And honestly, I would, and that's actually a good point. Like, I would say if someone is taking a consistent ride on a day-to-day basis, like Uber should really give them a discount, like a big discount that can in turn give them consistent business. Or what they should do, I know they had Uber rewards, like create a brand new rewards program so that passengers feel that, oh, I'm getting bang for my buck.
Yeah, I think they have something called a subscription service called Uber
Yeah, no,
One.
Uber One, yeah. I
Yeah,
pay for it, but it really doesn't do anything in my opinion. And honestly, too, I they claim to have top rated drivers, but it's like I feel like whoever's in the area. And it's not like I expect when paying for that first class. And honestly, the support from the passenger side too, you don't really get any support. It's automated messages.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
makes me feel like
Welcome to
I
the
know, yeah.
club. Welcome to the
I
club.
know.
We've
It
been
makes me
we've
feel
been
like,
dealing with the cut and paste messages for years and years and
oh
years.
yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. I honestly it infuriates me to get those messages from the customer support team because it's like they just press a button and then send. It's like they don't really understand. They don't really care to read my issue and see how can you best help me. And I'm in the customer service field too. I've been in it for a while now, and it's honestly like Uber is like I would give them 0 stars in their customer support with all due
Yeah.
respect. But
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's see, a lot of people watching this now, or later on, whenever it's going to be, they're going to think this like we set up this interview, right? Because
Yeah.
to me, um, as the host of the Show Me the Money Club live stream, I get so many emails and so many requests, right?
Yes, yeah.
To do interviews or whatever not. But um, I think from your mouth to our viewers, you need to tell, how this all actually came about, right? Because I did not know anything about you or who you were when was it, like a couple days ago, right?
Yeah.
And when Harry, forwarded me your info, I was like, interesting. I think this would be something that our viewers would want to see, that there are passengers out there like yourself who are sick and tired of the pricing abuses, at least, that they get, and they're
Yeah, no,
discovering or
definitely. Yeah.
figuring out a way to get around, right? So
Yeah, no, and honestly, yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you discovered us and why we're doing this. Because to me, it's like I talk to thousands of drivers, but rarely I get to talk to a passenger. But I think we're going to keep doing this, because if you can spread the word on your social media avenues in your city, and I do want to talk to more passengers, because I think passenger education is more important probably than driver education.
Yeah, no, honestly, I totally agree with that. And like honestly, like you were saying, like it's the fair. So I honestly feel like it is like price discrimination. Like honestly, I feel like it's discrimination to people with disabilities. The way that the prices are going up, and they're not doing anything to help people with lower incomes or people with disabilities. But yeah, like honestly, that would be great. I really feel like passengers should also be educated on what the drivers go through.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, because I'm a driver's advocate, but I'm also, by the way, a passenger on all these platforms, right? I order
No,
food,
yeah.
I take trips. I agree with you. The prices have gone up 50, 60, 70%. Except that one problem I see with that is what drivers get paid out of that increase
I know, yeah.
is the same, is remained the same. It hasn't, I think these
Yeah,
companies
I
think
know.
we're immune to inflation. We don't pay any higher gas prices or fixing our cars and insurance costs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, yeah, honestly, it is honestly, I could consider it abuse in a way because you guys are working for peanuts. And I like I said, I have a lot of respect for what drivers endure. And I feel sorry for what you guys go through. And like I'm trying to find ways in every way I can to support a driver, whether it's doing private rides for them or giving them a higher tip. Because I know what you guys go through. And I want to show you guys that because honestly, I really like people like me, people with disabilities need drivers in the community, and we appreciate everything that drivers do to get us from point A to point B, so that people like me, people all over the world with a disability who can't drive, can have an enviable life, and that they can have fun, they can enjoy certain things that we are meant to do, like certain things like me and you could do. Like, for example, if we wanted to go socialize at a bar after work, like Uber could help us with that. And honestly, if rideshare weights get higher and higher because no drivers are on the road, then we're not going to be able to experience those. We're not going to be able to experience those luxuries of being able to go out. And I'm not here to convince you to stay or convince you to leave the platform. Like I really believe that I really believe in the expression by Dr. Susan Jeffers, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I really think that we really, like I've said probably multiple times, we need drivers, people with disabilities, whether you do your own app, whether you stay with Uber and Lyft, or whether you do private rides. Because because honestly, I'm trying to think of what I was going to say, but we really do appreciate it. And honestly, I cannot say enough how much I appreciate all the drivers help me get from point A to point B every day. Like honestly, like if I'm really, really grateful for that. And I want all the Rideshare Guy listeners to know that.
Well, I appreciate it, and we appreciate it, and we're going to keep doing these interviews, because the more passengers who come forward, right? It doesn't have to be, people with disabilities. It's just the general public, I think, does not understand how the system works, because, they're trying to get from point A to point B safely, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I call Uber actually a cab company with an app, right? It is literally,
yeah,
and to me,
honestly,
yeah, I mean, and to me, it's a great service. It's convenient. You
yeah,
push a button, a car shows up. I mean, they came up with something that could have totally revolutionized, transportation, except that,
yeah,
you know, now they're in a rush to make profits themselves, right?
yeah,
So
of course,
the only way for them to make a profit in a two-sided market is control both sides, meaning
yeah,
charge as much as they can and pay as little as they can. Well, I don't
yeah,
think
no,
a lot of
yeah,
passengers are aware, because when a passenger sees that they're paying $40 for a 20-minute trip, right? They
yeah,
go, "Oh my God, this is a great job for the driver. He must be swimming
yeah,
in cash," not knowing the
no,
reality
yeah,
that out of that $40, drivers only probably got 15, right?
yeah, no, or even less, honestly,
Yeah.
now in my market. And honestly, that is not right for Uber to do. They should at least pay you guys to be able to live and be able to be able to pay your bills on time.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
mean,
don't know what
you have
that
a
rate
job, you
is,
have a
but
regular job, right? You have a regular
yeah,
job. You get paid either by the hour or by a contract or whatever. You have
yeah,
benefits, right? You also, have
yeah,
to
no, yeah.
understand drivers, the cost of operating their own business, let's
I
say,
know, yeah,
is all on
it's
them, right?
insane.
Gas,
It's all
insurance,
on them,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, Uber should really give these drivers benefits. And that's actually one of the points I wanted to bring up is that Uber should really be giving drivers these benefits because some of these drivers work full time, 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 hours I've seen.
Yeah.
And they need to know that Uber has their back or Lyft has their back or even like DoorDash, Grubhub, or Uber Eats have their back so that they can continue driving for them. Like honestly, too, like as a passenger, like honestly, if I were to sign up to drive, I would not want to drive for Uber unless I knew that they were benefits. And honestly, like some of the people have told me what benefit you guys get, and it's it's honestly crap, honestly, in part of my language,
No, no, it's good.
but yeah, honestly, I like honestly, how does Uber think that they're going to keep drivers on the road full time because they want to, like you said, they want to make their money. But honestly, they should pay drivers a living wage, and then that in turn will get them more rides to get them more money.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming forward to us, because truly, I did not know you existed a couple days ago, and now that we've done this, we should definitely keep in touch and spread the
Yeah,
word to
definitely.
the other passengers in your condition or with special needs or disabilities, that, the rideshare guy is there for the passengers as well, because
Yes.
we know that your fares have gone up so much that we don't want this service to be a luxury for everybody, because
Yeah.
not
No.
everybody
Yeah.
can afford it, right?
Yeah, no, not everyone can afford it. I know of other people that really can't afford Uber anymore. And honestly, soon I have a good feeling that Uber is going to lose a ton of business from the passenger side. And then in turn, drivers are not going to get rides. So then Uber's not going to make money because it seems like all Uber cares about is making money and keeping it for themselves. And that is not right. That is not how you do business at all.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, at the moment it is that, but if there's
I
anything
know, yeah.
we can do to change it, we're going to try to change it.
Yeah, no, of course. And that's
Yeah.
why I love the rideshare guy.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. So I'll give you the final word. What do you suggest to other people in your condition or special needs? What should they do? And we know what we're
Yes.
doing on the driver's side, but we're also going to start really pushing for education of the passengers, because I think they have a misconception that the drivers are swimming in cash.
Yeah, no, they're really not. And honestly, like I said, I really want things to change for people with disabilities and for people of the general public too,
Yeah.
because we're paying so much and I don't want that. I want that to change. And honestly, what I would suggest for anyone is to really price out Uber and Lyft and do it a couple of times to see when you can get the lowest fare possible.
Right.
Because Uber needs to realize that what they are doing is not working. And in turn, I hope Uber will actually see that what they're doing is not working, and then they need to change, and that they need to change in order to make it a better company.
Yeah, I mean they do watch us, so hopefully they will watch this video and get the perspective from a passenger, because
Yes, Sergio, I
a
think
lot
you
of
disconnected,
a lot of
or you're
drivers
frozen at least.
complain. A lot of drivers complain, rightfully so, but to Uber to lose a passenger like you, who was a regular daily, twice a day user, is a knock, right?
Yeah,
So
no, yeah. When I had Uber originally, when I had the Uber Rewards program, I was diamond status because I was
yeah,
using it so much
yeah,
from the passenger side.
yeah. So, well, I appreciate it, for taking the time to talk to me, and we'll keep in touch. And thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me.